For the pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We need approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from last meeting.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Jenny, take roll.
Greg Van Leer.
Aye.
Nancy Levitt.
Aye.
Tom Pato.
Aye.
David Winters.
Aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion has been approved 5-0. Public comment. Did we get anybody, Mark, for public comment?
Mr. President, I've received no request to speak to you tonight. However, I would like to have a point of personal privilege while I have the floor to introduce our new Public Works Superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Please do.
Andrew, if you'd like to join me. Mr. President, members of the council, Madam Clerk Treasurer, it's my honor to introduce to you tonight Danville's newest employee, our Public Works Superintendent. This is Andrew Pitcher. He comes to us from Bozeman, Montana. He interviewed well. He got christened today in snow removal. If you think that's funny, you know it's a joke because he came from Montana. This was
a
nothing
dusting.
to him. So, but if you'd like to say a few words, I just wanted you to have a chance to meet him tonight.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. You guys voted on my approval. I'm excited to be here, and it's going to be fun, and hopefully we can push forward together and do a good job for you guys and lead the department in the way you guys would have to see it go.
Well, to see what you're made of, I want all the roads paved by tonight.
If you sign the check, I would love to.
He's been around.
Good to see you in person instead of just on the video screen. So welcome, and I know that again, you know what got thrown at you this morning with the snow. I know it's nothing that you've haven't seen before. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Appreciate
To
your
Danville.
time. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay. Hey, ordinance 31-2020, 2021, salary ordinance. Clerk Treasurer, please.
This ordinance 31 was presented to you at the last council meeting. It's up for motion and approval this evening. I'll answer any questions you guys may have.
Any comments from the council? Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 31-2020?
So moved.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Can you please take the roll?
Greg Van Leer.
Aye.
Nancy Levitt. Tom Pato.
Aye.
David Winters.
Aye.
Chris Gerald.
The motion has been passed 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate all your guys' work.
B, Resolution 13-2020, holiday schedule. Clerk Treasurer again.
This is our 2021 holiday schedule for approval this evening.
Do I have any comments from anybody?
Is it customary for like Thanksgiving and the day after, and Christmas and the day after? Is that customary for other years?
As long as I can remember.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any more comments?
I'll just make one. There's not an election next year, so in absence of there not being an election, we award Columbus Day as a holiday.
Okay.
So there is one less holiday because of the primary and the election in May and November. So if you notice that there was one less, that's the reasoning, and we give Columbus Day.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 13, 2020.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Jenny, please take the roll.
Greg Van Leer.
Aye.
Nancy Levitt.
Aye.
Tom Pato. David Winters.
Aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
C, Resolution 2012-2020, Annexation Fiscal Plan, public hearing. Town Planner.
Good evening. What you have before you tonight is an ordinance for annexation requested by Rex and Rosalie Wilson. Property is at 527 North 50 East, consists of about 2 acres. This annexation was introduced on November the 18th. A fiscal plan was prepared, and that has been included in your packet for this evening. This is a public hearing, and notice was placed in the Republican. According to state requirements, staff has not received any comments regarding the annexation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, I have to gavel open the meeting. Any comments on this? Resolution 12, 2020.
Am I allowed to comment? I'm Rex Wilson.
If you would
We can't
please
hear
come
you.
up and in
Tell us
front of
who
the
you are.
microphone, please.
Your name.
The reason we needed to be annexed, the town was pumping all our water out and selling it to somebody else because of all the wells down in the valley. And so we needed to plan for water. And the persons I've talked with said the water situation is going to get worse rather than better. And I've been there 40 years, and we've been pumped dry twice by the water company. And they're nice people, but they just needed the water. So we were told that we had to be annexed, be part of the city or town in order to get water from the town. And that's where we are.
Sounds reasonable. Well, thank you.
And I would be kind of interested to know if I really have to be part of town to buy their water. I don't,
Well, our attorney will address the issue.
thank you.
Thank
So
you.
currently, the way that Danville is set up, that their utilities are within the corporate boundaries of the town itself. And so in order to extend the utilities out to your location, you'd have to be within the corporate boundaries of the town of Danville. So that's why the annexation has to occur.
Okay, any comments from the council?
Does this involve being hooked up to the Danville water supply?
Yes.
We currently have a well.
You do have a well.
Yes, and I think Matt is here if you have more detailed questions, but they will be working on that, he said, next week to start that process. So they will be getting hooked on to water. And because the reason that he says that we ran his well dry is when we were doing test wells there by the park, it was a dry summer, and he didn't have any water, so Matt talked to him and said, you know, we can hook you on, and but you would have to annex. So he came into the office and we, you know, went through the process and everything, and that's why he is here.
Okay.
What occurred was we haven't pumped any more water due to the test wells we did do. Just it was the drought back in September. It got kind of dry. I monitor all of our wells 2 to 3 times a month and document that. I've got on board with the DNR on the aquifer. They document and they test the residential wells also as far as the residual static level. And there has been issues with this before. His well is only like 60 feet deep. We did extend basically what they call a tailpipe onto his well and got down and got him water. But I know once we start pumping more water to the new plant, and we're going to be doing a production test here at the end of the month on the well we did drill, the 20-inch. It's just inevitable. It's just a matter of time before it's caught up to us, and we got a. It's a dewatering issue, is what DNR states, and we're responsible for that. So that's what we'll-
Is there going to be other property along Sycamore there that's going to be having the same impact?
We've sent a letter out to, I don't know, maybe 10 property owners that are in that area. They're still in the county. I've heard back from a couple. There's a lady that lives just to the east of Mr. Wilson, and then the one to the west, and they have contacted me. They are interested. However, I have not heard from all of them yet. So what we want to do is, once we hear from them, then we can, then they'll make application, and we'll do it as one application and bring it into you so we can do one fiscal study. It's going to save a lot of money by doing that. And one other thing I just wanted to mention is we waived any fees for Mr. Wilson as far as filing annexation and hooking on to the water because of his misfortune with going dry.
So someone from the water company will dig a line and hook his house up to water?
Yeah, where you're going to tap the 12-inch water main that runs up the hill in Sycamore, we're going to do a 2-inch tap on that and bore down, I think it's approximately 300 feet. And we're going to go ahead and then bore back across the road, set a meter pit in his yard. We've already took the measurements of going into where his well is, because it's what they call a jet well. So he has the motor that pulls the water sits inside the house. It's not a submersible type pump in the well. We've already done some legwork on it to get a game plan, because it's not going to be that easy of a project to do, but it can be done. We've already took some measurements and looking at his plumbing, how we can do this. But we're also going to go ahead and set a pit on the west side of the road, so when that customer does tie on, the work's already done.
Okay, what about a septic system? I assume you're on a septic?
We currently do.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Currently on septic system.
So that's allowed in the town parameters, septic systems?
Yeah. and
Okay.
Jewel may be able to speak more to that. I don't know if there's a minimum number, or if there's a time frame that they have to hook on, or if it's just when their system fails, then they would have to hook on.
Yeah, so the health department controls that for the most part, and what happens is, if the septic system is a functioning septic system and can handle the waste, it's allowed to continue until it fails, and so you can't replace it. Normally, you would have to hook on when the septic system starts to fail.
I believe it's 800 feet if you're within that.
300.
300? Tells you much. I still
I just know that because I
work
worked for the county for a while.
Okay, so yeah, there's plenty of room there for a septic system.
It's existing. It's
Okay.
there, so,
Okay.
and as long as it's functioning, there won't be an issue. But once it starts to fail, or if it fails, then he will have to hook onto the town's wastewater.
We have had those situations where the county has mandated people to hook onto our wastewater because their septic has failed, and it's not repairable. But we don't see that on this.
Right.
And do we have to vote on this tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Any more public comments? Public meeting's closed. Councilman, any thoughts? If not, I look for a motion for Resolution 12, 2020.
I move that we allow Resolution 12, 2020, the fiscal plan for the annexation of Rex and Rosalie Wilson's property.
Do you have a second?
Second.
I have a second and a motion and a second. Jenny, can you call the roll, please?
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Tom Pato,
Aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Chris Gerald.
The motion has been approved 5-0. Thank you. Ordinance 33, 2020, annexation public hearing. Town planner.
That's basically the same thing, but this ordinance actually would adopt, you would be adopting the annexation, or the ordinance to annex. And Jenny, I have those forms for you for signature.
Thank you.
This ordinance originally appeared before the council 2 meetings ago, so this is your
Yep.
second time for seeing it.
Council have any comments? Do I hear a motion?
I'd make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 33-2020.
We have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Jenny, can you take the roll?
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Tom Pato,
Aye.
David Winters, Chris Gerald.
Motion has been approved 5-0. Thank you. E, ordinance 35, 2020, additional appropriation.
Mr.
Danville
President,
Town Library.
Mr. President, this is Laura Malloy with the Danville Public Library.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
You are our binding fiscal body for the library, even though we have a board, it's an appointed board, so anything going above our normal appropriation has to be approved by you. So earlier in this year, we had to put a new roof on the library. We had the money saved for it. This is not a taxing issue or anything, doesn't affect anybody else's budget. We just need your approval to send to the DLGF so that they will, they can finish the paperwork and we'll be good.
Okay.
I didn't think it was that big a deal.
It is the library.
Line 1.
Sorry, I apologize. I timed that for you.
Okay. I didn't think I had a lie detector.
We caught you.
Mr. President, due to the nature of this request, Mr. Malloy is asking that you suspend the rules and adopt this ordinance tonight, if at all possible.
Okay.
I move that we suspend the rules so we can vote on this appropriation.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Everybody in favor? Yep.
Aye.
Suspend the rules.
You'll want to take an official vote, because it has to. Unanimous decision in order for it to be
Okay,
considered.
we'll back up a little. Jenny, can you take a vote?
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Tom Pato,
Aye.
David Winters,
Aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
The motion's been passed, 5-0. We have suspended the rules.
I would make a motion that the council adopt ordinance 35-2020, additional appropriation ordinance for the library.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. Jenny, can you take a roll?
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Tom Pato, David Winters,
Aye.
Chris Gerald.
Motion has been passed, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
F, adoption of the Trails and Sidewalks Plan. Assistant Town Manager, as well as policeman, builder.
I heard that last.
Construction worker.
Traffic director. Today we have Joe Mays going to kind of give you a little summary of all the findings from the Trails Plan. So he's from Context as well, so let him take over.
Great. Thank you for having us. I'm Joe Mays with Context Design. We're land planners, landscape architects. Our office is in Indianapolis. So tonight we're going to go through a brief overview of the Danville pedestrian pathways and trail plan that we've been working on for the past couple of months, and they're here for adoption. So you can go to the next slide. So there was 5 steps that we used to guide our process and to develop this plan. And tonight we'll go through just a couple of them in more detail. And there's a 60-page document that we provided to Will, and I believe you guys had that prior to this meeting that you could review. So the 5 steps that we used to guide the plan was to analyze all the existing facilities, that we engaged the public and the town staff to get ideas and to hear pros and cons of the existing system. And then we utilized a lot of technology to develop the plan to communicate for the public and to the staff and just for the plan itself. And envisioning the plan development of a whole entire network and a long-range plan to help the town establish priorities and the steps of action into development. So, and then that was development was a realistic plan that had cost, that had phasing, had priorities, and action steps that the town can use as a guide in the coming years.
For a second, Greg, do we need to get the packet up for you?
Yeah, if we can get that link sent to us real quick so I can pull
We
it up here.
sit, go ahead.
So that's actually in the document center, the full thing. He is actually presenting an 8-page summary because I wanted to keep it kind of brief for you guys because it's 88 pages. So the second one should be Town Council Packet 2.
Found it.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm now with you.
Okay.
Let's
Thank
roll.
you.
All right. Yep.
Thank you very
Yep.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate-
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for noticing my bewildered ment.
Wants me to do a dramatic reading of 88 pages tonight. So, so you can go to the next slide. So the first step was the inventory analysis. So we went through all the town, and we had a kickoff session with the town staff and gathered a bunch of information about, the highlights, the challenging areas, initial thoughts on where people would be biking to, destinations to, walking to, things like that. So, and then our team went throughout the whole town documenting what we saw with photos and notes and things like that. So you can scroll down here. Second part of that was public participation. We had an online survey that we had over 450 respondents, which was excellent. I don't know if people were bored during the COVID quarantine or not, but that exceeded our expectations. Usually we see around 200 people to engage. So a lot of people are really interested, a lot of great feedback. I think you scroll down, yeah. So here's some different graphics to just summarizing what we saw. And again, it's in more detail in the packet there. You can keep going down here. Yeah, you can keep going. We got feedback on what would discourage and encourages the town community, on what it would encourage them to bike and walk more, and then challenging areas that they saw and priorities that they wanted to see implemented within the town. So you can go ahead to the next, keep going down. This is kind of like a heat map, kind of gives you an idea of what the community wanted to, the yellow circles are the destinations that they wanted to bike to. And then the darker red lines, the darker it is, the more of a priority that they wanted to see improvements on. So, which honestly confirmed what we saw as we toured the town, talked to the town staff earlier on. So it was a good confirmation of where we're headed with the plan. You can go ahead and scroll down. So that led to the next step of master plan development. And we established 5 different goals and objectives for the whole entire plan, which was, develop a whole network, make sure it's safe, access for all, supports facilities outside just the bike trails and sidewalks, and then bike-friendly development, so establishing ordinances and things like that for future development, and making sure that's bike and pedestrian-friendly. And then programming and advocacy for the future long-term engagement of the plan. So you can go to the next slide. With that, here's the overall plan that we are proposing. The darker lines that you see they have a potential trail corridor. And then the yellow lines are identified for like a major pedestrian and or cyclist connection as well. So as you can see, there's a main north-south connection on Washington Street down to Blake, and then down to the Twin Bridges Golf Club down there. And then along Rockville Road, US 36, also old US 36, and then the Main Street. Those are kind of the main corridors that we saw that are east and west and north and south. And then off from there, there's a bunch of other networks of trails and pedestrian connections. So obviously, that's a great plan to see all built out, but you have to figure out, what's a priority? Where do you start chipping away at this plan? So this graphic here shows you the green is the higher priority segments that we saw that were needed. Some of those are based on, connectivity for schools, and then also just connectivity to, for instance, the Kroger's in that commercial district was identified as a really hot spot that people wanted to walk and bike to as well. So. And then to finalize and to implement the plan and to help guide this town staff and you all in making your decisions, we had action items, though, and different categories for those are policy action items, advocacy action items, low-hanging fruit, like there could be, like on Money Lane, there's a segment of sidewalk that could be easily installed by the town staff that would really benefit the town and some of those community members. And then begin long-range, bigger pedestrian and trail connections that might engage NDOT or a larger envisioning and investment from the town. So I know that was a really quick overview, but I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
I had a couple.
Go ahead.
And this might be probably more for the town manager or assistant manager. For example, on page 15 of the big one. So I guess my general question is, before I get to the specific question, especially when it comes to neighborhoods such as Clear Creek or some of the others in town, not necessarily talking about Old Town, because I know we don't, or the downtown, because I know we don't have an owners association down there, but I guess what is there any obligation for the homeowners associations for the upkeep of sidewalks in their neighborhoods? And I guess do we even get into that? And the reason I'm asking is because I know some of these items here, they're pictures right out in front of their neighborhoods and things like that. So I guess if you remember that question, and then my next question, the new development off 10th Street, I know they're going to be doing some things there. How does that impact? And I guess what is the obligation breakdown between residents and neighborhoods in the town? If that makes sense.
So most of the homeowners are actually responsible for their sidewalks. And I think we can actually request as a town for them to service their sidewalks, because it could be a public safety issue. But I know in actual town limits, we have a sidewalk program where we pay for, or they pay for the cost of the concrete and we do the labor. So that can answer some of that, but I don't know what the limits or boundaries are on that, and that can help with some of that.
Okay, and this is somewhat unrelated, but still sidewalks. If there's something that the town has to do to go through someone's yard and it tears up the sidewalk, we replace that.
Yeah, we would replace that. And Barry does a lot of that. And I believe wastewater, I think, does a lot of that too. Matt, you probably deal with that too, because your water's, well, it's usually inside there for the most part, but yeah. Okay. And then, as far as the new developments, what's great is working with Lisa, we're 10 light years ahead of where we were. We're already meeting, we're having TAC meetings, and in there, I'm tearing up what they have designed, because I want everything to connect. So we're already doing the things, but now we have them on paper. And that's just kind of being like, whenever someone comes in, we can show them the plan now, and they'll know the standards that they have to have for the town, and they'll know where we're going. So when a neighborhood comes in, they'll already know, oh, if I do it, the way that they want, it's more likely that it'll pass. So that answers that question. We're light years ahead of where we were.
Answer your question.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So Will, what's on page 70?
On page, what was it?
70.
I have to zoom. Tested me.
Almost there. Yeah, 70.
So one of our grand ideas is pretty aggressive. There's a bridge over by the fire station and waste management. And what we want to do is, it's not in a very comfortable place to where you could access it or connect to it. So our thoughts were, to save some money, we could move that bridge over next to 36. And we would save a lot of money, hopefully. We would preserve some history, and people could actually see the great bridge that we put money into to revive. And it's a pretty wide bridge as well.
So that would be right there before the, AutoZone or?
Actually cross White Lake Creek.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the north side being more
Really?
advantageous to our plan. The only messy part is really that span of Stratford turn lane, or Park Ridge turn lane, where we may have to figure out, retaining wall, how we would do that. But everyone wants to get to the park, so if we can keep them on that side and then use the lights as our, cross sections, and we could still do sidewalks on the other side. But having a spot to where we can keep everyone on one side, and we were thinking the same thing with Main Street as our goal as one of the corridors, is to go completely up Main Street and go all the way to the west side of town. Making the sidewalks a little bit bigger, which they would end up turning into trails, spurs economic growth, because now people can bike into town. So, going to have lunch and stuff like that. And then also, it makes those storefronts way more approachable because we can put in trees and have barriers and stuff. So Joe's really worked, amazingly, kind of even opened my eyes, and that doesn't happen very often because I'm a little wild, I would say, with my plans. But he was showing me things I've never thought of before, even with the square, how to lay out the square. Just a lot of cool initiatives that we can bring some green back to the square, but also, trees and green. But just a lot of cool initiatives. And the good part, what Mark has kind of told me was, we've all had all these plans, now it's time for action. And that's kind of been my goal with this is now I'll have that list and we're going to start chipping away at that list. And we're not going to put things out there that, it may be slow just because of dollars, but we're going to knock some things out and we're going to make some progress and show the citizens that we're, using their dollars wisely. And they get to touch, the things that we're doing, so.
Well, that's very innovative, so I really like that. Thank you.
Will, is there any thought, so you're going to take that bridge across there and then go to Stratford Ridge?
Yeah, actually, we're going to Avon is our goal.
Are you going to go past Fidel's?
Yes.
So the people in Fidel's can walk that trail?
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That'll keep them off our roads.
Well, the good part is that side of town down Old 36 is used pretty heavily by the users in that area, the people who live in that area. So it brings a lot of safety actually in too, which is part of that plan. The safety, economic growth, and then citizens getting out and recreating. That's what we're all about.
Excellent.
When do you think?
Got my vote.
When do you think we will start seeing some progress? Noticeable.
Noticeable? I mean, that Money Lane project will probably be done in the first 6 months with approval, of course. Will be done probably in the first 6 months. And then the bridge project, I need to get pricing on it because, it may be cheaper to do a smaller bridge. It just depends on that. But, my goal is to show progress on 36 and show progress on that backside because those are the low-hanging fruit like he was talking about. And then 36-wise, we just piece it in as we go, and we can start at the park because that's really easy. We already own that land, and we really own a lot of land, heading east as well. So,
Well, I think this is reading through, I think this is a great plan and a great opportunity. And on the heels of hearing some very positive things this year, from the sign to Winterland and other things, I think it'd be really good for the town.
My family's been using what you have already. That's my wife Cindy and the dog. So there's a lot of fertilization on the sides of that trail.
And one of the things Will touched on, I want to
We need an income for that.
reiterate is it is our goal that Danville connects with the other three major communities in Hendricks County.
That would be very nice.
And we think that's going to open all four of us up.
Yes.
Now, fiscally, what we'd like to do is connect with Avon and then have Avon pay to hit Brownsburg and Plainfield.
Good idea.
But we'll see how that goes,
Wow, it sounds exciting. And any more comments from the council? Do I have any motions?
I would make a motion that we approve the master plan for pedestrian pathways and trails.
I second that motion.
We have a approval and a second. Jenny, can you take the roll?
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Tom Pato.
Aye.
David Winters. Chris Gerald.
Thank you very much.
We have a vote of 5-0. It's been approved.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're all excited about it. I'll have to tell my dog. G, MOU for jail fees, Assistant Town Manager. See, there's another hat. We just have to have a lot of hats.
All right, so this is the project we've been working on for probably 5 months or so, and a couple of council members have sat in on the meetings. Just been working to negotiate down some pricing with tap fees and stuff and taking care of our neighbor, the county. We ended up coming up with a 50% split. We had Jewel actually look over all the documents, and we come up with a resolution, and we're hoping that is adopted tonight. And then the county will have to adopt a similar resolution, so there'll be like a 2-week delay because they have to advertise and stuff as well.
So you must be happy with this if you brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about it, Mr. Van Leer.
Yeah, I think, all of the administration, feels good about it. Utilities were a big part of those
Yeah.
meetings, and everybody feels pretty good about those, and I think the county does too. So good neighbor, good partner.
All right, thank you, Will. Do I have a motion for this? MOU for jail fees.
Mr. President, this will actually be twofold. You'll have to do a vote for the resolution and a vote for the MOU.
All right, the first motion we're looking for is for the MOU.
I would make a motion that we adopt the MOU for jail fees.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jenny, can you take a roll?
I'm so sorry. Was that Chris that seconded that? Okay, thank you. I missed that. Okay. Greg Van Leer?
Aye.
Nancy Levitt?
Aye.
Tom Pato?
Aye.
David Winters? Chris Gerald?
Aye.
Motion's been passed 5-0, thank you. Do I have another motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the resolution for the adoption of jail fees.
Do you have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Jenny, can you take the roll?
Greg Van Leer?
Aye.
Nancy Levitt?
Aye.
Tom Pato?
Aye.
David Winters?
Aye.
Chris Gerald?
Aye.
Motion's been passed 5-0, thank you.
And I have one question for Jewel. Does Tom sign the interlocal agreement? Okay.
So the executive can sign it or...
Okay, I wanted to confirm that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. H, wishes to be head, Danville Junior Football League. So, Drew Short.
Sir. Good evening. My name's Drew Short. I'm currently the president of the Danville Junior Football and Cheer League. I'd like to start by saying thank you for allowing me this time to speak with you tonight. For those who may not be familiar with DJFL, we are Danville's only youth football and cheer organization, and we are affiliated with the Sagamore Conference. We serve the community by providing football and cheer to about 200 youth right now, between the grades of kindergarten and 6th grade. In October, our board of directors was informed that the Kenny White Field, where our tower and fields are currently located, would become the site for the new water facility for the town of Danville. Over the past 2 months, we worked closely with Will on getting estimates on this move. The Sagamore Junior football season will start approximately the first week of August. It means that we only have about 7 months before our teams will need to start practicing. In your packet, you'll find the preliminary drawings of the 2 football fields and a smaller football field that will be used for our kindergarten, 1st grade division. We've worked closely with Will and gotten estimates from the architect of our designs. These include the cost of the field preparation, building the tower, and the football-related items such as scoreboards and goalposts. The current project estimates are between $150,000 and $200,000. We currently believe a substantial portion of those estimates could be donated, which would help to lower the overall cost. DGFL would like to propose a financial partnership with the town of Danville. We're willing to make a $50,000 donation to the project. We'd like to spread that out over the first 3 years. What we're asking from the town is to approve funding for the entire cost of the project so that we can begin that project in January, since we're on kind of a short deadline. In an effort to reduce both the town and DJFL's cost of the project, we would like to begin a Raise the Tower capital campaign in order to raise funds through businesses, families, and individuals. The details of the campaign can be found in your packets. We believe that we'll be able to raise a large portion of the overall cost through this campaign, either through cash contributions, in-kind donations, or donated services. We're excited about the opportunities this project will provide the town of Danville, the league, and ultimately the youth of our community. I'd like to end by thanking you again for your time and consideration, and we welcome any questions or feedback that you may have about our project.
Drew, I had one question.
Yeah.
You talk about possibly a 3-year buy-in. Really appreciate that. My question is actually on your guys' corporate structure. As president of the Little League right now, how long does your term last?
My term is 1 year.
And is that?
It just began. It actually began, it'll be 1 year from January.
And do you guys have a succession in place on, or is somebody voted in new each and every year?
We vote yearly from the board. You have to have been on the board for at least a year before you're eligible for an executive board position.
All right, thank you.
Kenny, do you have any thoughts about this funding?
Yes.
Yes, can you please give us some?
Well, we had talked about the water utility possibly purchasing the land where the new water treatment plant's going to go, and Jewel can go more into descriptions on that. There's the food and beverage tax that we had talked about at the last meeting or the meeting before that. Of course, there's the host fund. We could mark it as a priority project. And we can do all three things. You know, we can take a portion from here and a portion from there. And
I see.
What about edit?
most of that money for the next 3 years is earmarked. Definitely the next 2 years as part of some of our other goals we have.
And so basically, you're looking at partnering with us.
That's exactly what we're looking at here.
And then we can get grants possibly with this partnering.
Correct. That's one of our goals.
Okay, and then we can raise money publicly?
Yes, we want to start a capital campaign project where we'll go out and actually work on getting funds from businesses and other members of the community.
And then we can give you some from the town.
Correct.
The town can help you with some of the land. Okay, well, it sounds like you're looking at all your bases. That's very good. And do you have percentages of these different groups? Like, would that depend on, so you don't know what the grant would be?
Correct.
Or what grants you could get yet?
We've looked into some grants. A lot of them have looked for matching donations. It's really going to depend on, right now we're in a short time frame to get the project started. We only have about 7 months. So we're needing the funds up front. Then we're trying to get grants because we'll have the matching in kind. So it'll help us get grants a whole lot easier. And then those grants would go in turn to pay back towards what the town paid.
I see. I know I've been giving money to it for a couple of years.
Yes.
I've really supported it. When I was a young boy, it really helped me.
And Pete's on our fundraising committee. He may be able to answer some of those fundraising questions a little bit easier than I do.
Would you like to come up and speak, Pete?
Sure. I think as Drew was saying, sorry, Pete Lynch, I'm just a board member on the football DJFL board. And we've been involved with Will and previous administration, Greg, John Hackelman, Robert. I think many of our members have talked with Will over the course of this. This is a project that's been kind of in the hopper for 5 years. And really, as Drew alluded to, the crunch, the 7-month crunch, really ties to some of the work that's going to be done as a result of the water plant, and we think the disruption to our existing location. We thought we might have another year, but that's kind of why we're in this time crunch. So that's why we're looking for maybe a commitment from the town to help us get started, and then we feel very confident in our ability to raise funds at a substantial level to reduce the cost both for us and for the town.
Do you anticipate that the fundraising efforts would be the funding mechanism for the 50,000, or do you guys already have the 50,000 and the funding, and the fundraising is to continue to offset the cost on top of the 50,000?
The idea of the fundraising is to offset the cost for both of us. What we had proposed in the packet was that every dollar that we raised from the first dollar, I think up to 100,000, we would split with the town 50-50. 50 cents of each dollar would go towards the building of the tower. 50 cents would go to the football-related items, which is kind of how we had done that. Anything that we raised over that, every dollar up to completion of the project would go to the build.
So the tower being named could, like Hendricks Power could give you a couple $100,000.
We've already started inquiring.
Hendrix Power. They're my favorite power tools.
If you know anybody that we could talk to, that'd be great.
I've got a nitpicky question about the tower. Is it set in stone that it's going to be like it is drawn up here in our packet?
I don't believe, Nancy, anything is set in stone. I think these were
Okay.
drawings that were given, but Will can probably speak to that.
Those are preliminary. We sat down with the board, previous boards, and did these drawings. So,
Okay.
and they wanted to mimic what they already had, but they wanted to double the storage
Yeah.
capacity. And that's kind of what we did. But it's
Okay.
dual-sided too, so there'll be fields on both sides.
Right.
There's a lot of good features to it, but it is pretty plain Jane.
Okay.
And every
It
time we
doesn't
add
have-
fun stuff, it costs money.
It doesn't have like a furnace or air conditioning and any of that stuff?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
They're tough.
President?
So in my,
Oh,
okay, go ahead. No, go
No,
ahead.
I just had a couple things.
Yeah.
First of all, I totally support what you guys are doing and youth sports, having a son that plays sports and all that. So I really hope that somehow we can get this to work out. I guess I'm a little leery of a financial commitment without having detailed out the plan on how that's going to get paid for. But I know we're all kind of under a time crunch too. So I guess this might be a question for both Jenny and the attorney on how can we discuss that funding? How can we discuss that plan? And then in general, for the attorney, are there any other legal things that we ought to be thinking about since we are a government entity working with a non-government
Yeah, so
entity?
one of the things that is going to happen, and my recommendation to this council is going to be, we need a contract that's going to outline the responsibilities of both parties, what the obligations are going to be, what the promises are going to be. I mean, if we're talking about a 3-year kind of commitment through this, I think this goes along to what Councilman Van Leer's questioning was, if there's a turnover in the board, the presidency, does that change? That's why it's going to be by way of contract. When you talk about the different funding mechanisms, and Jenny can walk you through all of this, when you look at your edit, when you look at your host fund, and all of these budgeted items, you're going to have to either make an additional appropriation and go through that process with a public hearing in order to fund it. And so that can slow the project down and could be an impediment for you. One of the things that Jenny mentioned was we're looking at a situation in which this property is currently owned by the parks, correct? Well, the utilities are a separate entity, and so they don't, the parks have their own tax levy that they receive funds from, and then their operations. The utilities are user-based, so they receive funds from the user fees. The utility could purchase from the parks the property needed for this, what they need to have done. And that's what Jenny was referring to. That money is going to be a little bit more fungible because you don't have that in an account. It is not tax dollars. It is free dollars that aren't part of your budget right now that are going to be coming in. And so those are, you can, I won't say play around, but you can work with that a little bit easier than you can the other mechanisms to fund this project.
Were you just talking about the food and beverage?
No.
No, okay.
I am talking about the utility
Utility, okay.
buying this land from the parks. It goes into the parks general fund, so they now have a new cash balance of additional dollars that is paid for by the utility for the real estate that they're taking. They can then go through the process of using that money, because it's not been budgeted, it hasn't done anything, and apply it towards a different project. There are some limitations on that. They can't go out and just pay any figure. They're going to have to get the evaluation of what that property is going to be, and that's what they're going to pay for that property. But it can help offset that if you want. When you talk about the food and beverage tax, that is another line item that you have, but I will put this in front of you that you have just approved a comprehensive trail plan, which I am imagining you're paying for with that food and beverage tax. And so you'll want to make sure that you're not pulling away. If you can do this project in conjunction with other projects, I think that's the best thing to happen. If you start pulling away from that food and beverage tax, then the trail plan is going to be pushed back.
So in a town sense, go ahead.
Is it a possibility to maybe put a committee together to where we research the
Yeah, I think-
financial part.
Either that or a work study, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where we're headed to. Sounds like it. In my observation from the football, which I support so much, it's one of the biggest events in the park. When I drive through there, there's there's hundreds and hundreds of people. So as a town, I think they would be very positive on anything positive that we would put forward. But I think in putting something forward, listening to to Chul there, we need a little bit more detail. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and we could we'll go ahead and start working on the language of a contract, what that framework's going to be with, and I can either get with you guys to discuss your part of that, or if you guys have somebody else that you want me to work with, that's fine. So we can start putting that construct together on the side, which is going to be separate from your consideration of any funding mechanisms of it.
Right, so there's a timing on this? Or you just like to get it?
Well, the utilities coming in this fall, so they're not going to have a place to play this fall.
Yeah, it depends on the contractor, because I think, actually, Kent could probably tell you maybe a timeline. Because it depends on the contractor, because right, and price.
That's our biggest worry, is once they start construction on that, and I think as of right now, it looks like a pipeline's gonna have to go through where our football field currently is. They're working on trying to see if they can move it. So right now, there's a possibility that come August, we'll have 200 kids signed up and nowhere to play.
Okay, let me just talk to the councilman here. In general, is everybody kind of favor of this going forward?
Yes.
Okay, so we want to go forward, we like it, and you want some urgency in it. So Chul, is there anything we can do to give them a positive feeling and not drag this down in bureaucrats and be 3 years from now before we...
What are you saying about attorneys, Mr. Pato? Yeah, no, I think you probably have given them a good feeling with the consensus of the town council saying you're in favor of it. Like I said, we'll start working on a contract lining things out, and then it's going to be how you want to get everything funded out on the other end of it. And so that really is going to be a work session or panel that's going to be you sitting down with Jenny, going through numbers and stuff like that. But you will drive the timing of that process. We can probably have a contract done before your next meeting that has the legal requirements and the boilerplate language in it, if you want.
So, like they say here, we need to get a little committee together really quick?
I don't know if you need it, I mean, that's up to the council. I don't know if you want a committee or whether it's just discussions between the
Mark,
administration.
do you have anything?
Jenny's got something to do on this.
Me personally, rather than having a committee, I would rather see work studies and we all work on it together, rather than having another section of a committee that it's got to go before, and then, we're the defining body of this, and I would just feel
Then we have a
most
lot of-
comfortable with us.
I understand. So then we have a lot of control. So I would say when we're leaving this meeting, we'll give you some positive feelings. We'll, I'm going to ask if they want to take it under advisement for further consideration, and we'll appoint a work study tomorrow so we can get at it.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I noticed that there's no concessions in this drawing.
That's Plan B.
So originally, we had the funding to do 2 buildings, and one was the tower, functioning pretty much solely for football, and then the other was a larger bathroom and concessions away from the actual tower to spread people out over the area. But The other building is like $250,000. We're looking at grassroots, making sure that they have the things they need to play football. And this is like the basis of that. So someday down the line, when we hit the lottery, we can go towards that next building. And it's similar to the train station, but a little bit smaller scale, but with 3 rentable facilities as well. So it's a revenue generator.
Then, Will, on the diagram, I see 2 football fields. Is that the maximum capacity for that space?
Yeah, we're still looking at some of the grading issues and stuff on the one side, but we've already kind of been talking about some of those issues, and we're going to work through them, and that's part of this in this package too. We've actually kind of spoken a little bit about an MOU, just making sure that both of us are kind of protected as well. And I think we could probably work that out and send it over to you. I don't think it'll take very long, and then you can make it better.
To answer that question, there's enough storage there right now that we have looked at turning one side of the storage into a temporary concessions to get us by until we are able to make.
We were going to put a roll door on the one side just so that they have that option. They can, function pretty much the same way they are now, and kind of buy us some time.
Would it be advantageous? I mean, because talking to builders, they always say that it's anything under roof is the cheapest. It's more roof that becomes more expensive. So I see this 2-tier, 1 level and then 2 levels in the middle. I mean, would it be advantageous to just build a 1-2-story structure and then have I'll say a ramp or some sort of additional upper storage in that, freeing up one end to instead of for storage or field maintenance, that both of those are on one side and a concession on the other?
We can look at that options, but it's really all about dollars, because every time we go up, it costs money too. So,
okay.
All right, I have some more ideas here. So we have when's our next meeting? It's in January, isn't it? We have a small meeting.
On the 30th.
31st?
On the December 30th to close out the claim dockets and approve the Center Township fire contract.
And to do the year-end transfers
Yeah,
and
conferences.
resolutions.
Right. So is there any reasonable thought that between now and that meeting, we could get enough information to make a decision? Jewel has to do some work, and you guys have to do some work in any one of these.
You talking about the meeting on the 30th? or
Yeah,
the
and
6th?
maybe get
Okay.
enough information that we could say yes or no by then.
Well, I mean, I think we're already, I know time is of the essence, but I think that even that first meeting in January would probably suffice. I mean, not a whole lot's going to be getting done.
7-day
when-
difference.
Yeah, when it's snowing outside.
7 days into January?
January 6th.
6th.
I
Okay,
have one other question, Mr.
Yeah, go
President,
ahead.
if that's all right. So maybe you think this is moot, but I was just curious, if not for the rushed nature of this because of what's going on, how would this have played out a year from now in terms of the relationship here?
we've been pushing forward pretty much the whole 5 years. It's just without having anything in the bank, it makes it very hard. You can only push so far. We actually got those design plans, and our next phase was to get the actual site plan, full drawings, which we're working on right now as well. But yeah, the park has been pushing for it because it's in our priority projects list for the park board. It's just a matter of the funding, So, and we've talked about raising money together, because we want to make sure that they're successful just as much as they want to make sure we're successful. So, it's been a pretty good partnership. We just haven't had any dollars to back it yet, and they just recently started fundraising and kind of empowered them to be like, oh, we can do this, and then that kind of spearheads some of that.
David, that's we started a raffle. Many of you guys participated in that. We've done some sponsorship. So from an organization standpoint, financially, we're in a better position to be a partner, to have some financial stake in this. We understand from a league standpoint, our partnership with the town gets us a lot of what we have today and better. The type of facility that we would be getting would by far be the best in our conference. It would allow us to do things that our current facility cannot, but it really sets us up for growth. But we're in a financial position now at a league that we weren't a couple years ago, and that's really, we'd love to have the extra year, to really raise additional money. But I think, I mean, again, even in a truncated time period, I think we can do a lot in a short period of time.
So you've done a lot of work already.
Yeah.
So how much work can we get done by January 6th?
All of it. All of it.
Looking at you. Okay. All right, so I think the next thing to do is get a work study, not exactly tomorrow. Let us do some homework before we get the work study going. And I would say, what's the date today? The 16th, 25th?
Christmas?
Christmas? Say 24th of December?
That'll be hazard pay for your attorney.
Pardon?
Add a zero.
Any thoughts on a good day? I'll go to the public in this. Every day is Saturday to me.
Between Christmas and New Year's, maybe.
Yeah.
I can set it up. I was saving this for staff comments. I'll be on vacation starting Friday. I'll return the day after Christmas, but I will be back in town after that. I'll be happy to set up whatever you guys want to set up.
Okay.
And I don't know that this doesn't have to be in person if we don't want to
It
on a
doesn't
work
have to be,
study.
but you'll have to have the 48-hour notice.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just saying as a work study, nothing can be decided anyway.
Correct,
So
it's just a receipt and discussion.
right.
Well, after the new year? The second or third?
We've got the 28th and 29th, which is Monday and Tuesday, and then and then the 30th is our meeting.
Sometimes people go on vacation between Christmas and New Year's. I don't know, is anybody?
Anybody here on the 20, is everybody here on the 28th?
Is everybody here on?
I'd be good on the
days?
28th or the 29th.
I'm here.
I'll be here.
Okay, I'm fine.
28th. Jenny?
28th.
Be here?
You want to go 5 or
Yeah, I'm working, unfortunately.
what times? What's a good?
5:30?
5:30? 5:30.
Set up.
Okay.
Do you want to do in person or do you want to do virtual? In person?
Yeah, I know.
I would prefer to do in person for something like this.
I
if
agree
it-
with
if it's-
that.
If it's good for everybody.
Yep, sounds no problem with me.
Yep, you get
Just to
better.
clarify for us,
We're going to talk to you a lot between now and then.
that's fine. We won't be at the 28th. That'll be just.
Correct.
It's a public meeting, you can be there, but it's going to be more fiscal. Yeah.
We're just going to be talking about you.
Right. I'd rather not be there.
Just about you.
I think your fundraising will go well. I think the whole town is just for it.
We've done some preliminary, and we've already gotten a nice sum without
Yeah.
a lot of work, but we did not want to be presumptuous, so we're ready to ratchet up our efforts and raise as much as we can. But certainly with the timing of the success we had as a league and also the success that the high school had this year, this is a good time to be talking about football in the town.
All right. Is that all from everybody? So we've got a date for a work study.
Okay.
We've got everything we need to know. So what do we need to do now? We're going to take it on advisement.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your effort. Okay. You want to go first, Mark, or do we want to talk to everybody? Why don't you go first?
As I stated, I'll be on vacation starting Friday, be back the December 26th. Department reports, administration, Malin's still in grant class. Police department, they had an officer in the hospital, and he, due to COVID-19, he's now out of the hospital. Got out Monday afternoon, Jim? Yeah. They still have one in quarantine. Chief Hilton has supplied his monthly report. They did reserve testing this last Saturday. They had 17 people apply, 11 people passed, and they have no merit board meeting this month due to no business to discuss. The water department has been doing some boring on County Road 300 East, been doing sampling, and been doing a walkthrough of Kensington. Is that right, Matt? Fire department, as of Monday, it had 1,573 runs for the year, a couple of COVID runs. As a point of interest, they will be supplying an ambulance and staff to be on standby when the vaccines roll out. So they will be doing standby for, in case people have any type of reaction for the, to the vaccines. Parks Department had a large number of people for Winterland on Tuesday. I know, crazy thought. Again, perfect storm, Hendricks Regional, and did an employee appreciation at the Winterland, and they were asked to stagger, they didn't stagger, and then jolly old Saint Nick, as you know, can be sometimes spontaneous, and he made a personal appearance at the gatehouse to Winterland, and so everybody wanted to stop and talk to Santa, which created quite the traffic jam on 36. I know when I came through, it was backed up almost to Walmart. It was a good, bad problem, I guess, if you want, however you want to look at it. But Will and the police department got down there once they realized there was a problem and got things moving along. So good job to Will and Danville Police. They're doing some upgrades to the train station restrooms. They've been working in Blanton Woods, cleaning up some projects where they had some community service that maybe didn't do things to their standard. So they kind of went in and fixed those up. And if you haven't noticed, they've removed the awning on Bostic Gym. It was quite honestly becoming a safety issue, so it was time for it to come down. Will, I know you've got plans to get it put back up. Did you want to speak on that? I know it's an insurance issue.
Yeah, we do have some dedicated dollars for it already, but we can actually use DAC funds on that too, so we're going to kind of team up on it. But I'm hoping to have it within 8 weeks, so.
The stormwater building superintendent assisted with the removing of the awning. He's done 61 inspections, 10 new residential permits. He's been working on the chiller here in the building. It's old, it's antiquated. There's only so much you can do to keep it warm, cold. I mean, in the winter it's hot. Nope, then it's cold. So we're working with it. I will say that he and the rest of the staff have iWorks up and running, and I think it's been very well received by the public. We're doing a lot of things now online. We're literally to the point where permits are being done online. So it's quite a step up. Planning, she had a meeting with Plan Commission where they discussed a text amendment that we'll probably bring before you in January. There's been an approach of self-storage units at Gale Crossing, and she's working on the second phase of the Kensington subdivision. Wastewater Department, they're doing vac truck training. They're putting together something so that anybody can use the vac truck. Even you can use the vac truck. Yes, sir.
I'm interested.
They've been working on street patches, sidewalks, and he was very excited that to work with Jenny and to get the bond closing accomplished, because I know they're excited on moving another step forward. So he wanted to make sure that I told you thank you on behalf of the wastewater department. So that's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Will?
I'd just like to say welcome to Andy. Thank you to the board for coming out too, and Merry Christmas.
Lisa, got anything? Jenny?
I would like to schedule a work study for sometime the end of January for the host budget, the 2021 host budget. I think that'll give staff enough time and myself to prepare. If we could schedule something, I don't know if you want to do it before the second council meeting or allocate a separate night just for that. I'll leave that up to you guys, but.
I like them before the meeting. I don't know how everybody else feels. I don't mind when it is.
So I'm going to be out of town. Is there any way we can push it off to the first week in February?
We can do that, yeah. that's
February
no
1st,
problem.
2nd, or 3rd?
February 3rd would be our status. if you approve next year's schedule at the January meeting, February 3rd should be our first meeting.
Okay. What's the feeling of everybody about February 3rd before the meeting?
It's same night.
It's okay. Oh, no. And what time do you think, Jenny? How much time do you need?
5:30 preferably, if that works with everyone, that'll give us an hour and a half.
All right, why don't we put another meeting down for 5:30?
Thank you.
January 3rd, 2021. Wow.
February 3rd.
February 3rd, 2021. All right.
That's all I have, thank you.
So since the last meeting, I attended a meeting with Mark and Lisa with the airport, Hendricks County Airport, to discuss some economic development opportunities. It was a very productive meeting, and quite frankly, after the meeting, it was gained a lot of traction and moved forward. So very happy about that. I attended the Plan Commission meeting, and just to expand on what Mark had said, that text ordinance that they were working on is pertaining to annexation and how annexation from the county comes to into the town. Right now, all property reverts to an R1, and so the text is to make something that would be that property would come into a similar zoning as it's already zoned in the county. So we thought that made a lot of sense, and it was very appropriate. So that's going to be coming to us soon. Attended the RDC meeting. They're still working on some property that's just off the town center. And the county has finished their bonding for the jail because those bonds hit the open market this week. So they're moving forward.
Well, I was appointed to the Danville Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, and I look forward to meeting with them in the middle of January and seeing what that's all about. And between, that organization and us working on things, I just really have high hopes for, everything that's going to happen in the next year.
Well, I know we technically have one more meeting this year, but it's going to be short. I just wanted to say that, I know it's been kind of a tough year, to say the least, and I think everybody's done a great job trying to keep things moving forward and keeping us, up and running. So thank you to town manager, assistant town manager, and everyone else involved. Hopefully 2021 presents some different circumstances, and that we keep moving forward and showing that progress that we're all hoping for. So it's been a pleasure to serve this first year, and I look forward to the next 3. And if I don't see any of you before then, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
What do you always have to say when I'm going to say? Hey, can I go first next time?
First next time.
Welcome, Andrew, and Merry Christmas, everybody, and go Danville football.
Wonderful. Would you guys like to go back and wish everybody Merry Christmas?
I wanted to welcome Andrew. I know as liaison for the Public Works, I need to come down and see you and everything, and I apologize that I missed that opportunity a moment ago, but thank you. Thank you for, and welcome to Danville.
Okay. Well, Merry Christmas, and hope you have a good holiday. I welcome you, Dan. And the other thing I got to say is I have a meeting every Wednesday at 2 o'clock with the hospital on a Zoom meeting with all the people from around the area, town managers, fire departments, and that. And they talked a lot about the COVID today. They're getting the vaccine started on Friday, and they're going to have 420 vaccines every Friday thereafter. They're going to start with the people from the hospital, and then they're going to wait for guidance from the government. They originally told me they were going to start with the people from the hospital, the first responders, firemen, and police. But they've pulled back on that, and they're going to wait for what the next vaccination regime is going to be. We are lucky enough to have a hospital that has a facility to hold the vaccines under minus 90 degrees. And so we'll probably be getting a lot of Pfizer vaccines. They've spoke about the vaccine. It's in two parts, both Pfizer and Modelo. And they said you can get the vaccine, the first injection, and one is 17 days after, and the other one's about 40. That's the closest you can get the second vaccine. But then after that, you can wait for a while if you want the second vaccine. So that's just information there. It'll all be done at the fairgrounds, and they've asked for volunteers. They have two levels of volunteers. One is clerical, running up and down with things, going and getting that and that. The other one, of course, are nurses and people that can actually inject and do something on the medical side. So if you're interested and feel like you could help them, you have to go on Hendricks, I think it's the HRH site, and look for the heading. And then you'll have to put your name and who you are, and they're going to actually vet people to make sure it's the kind of people they need. So if you're interested in volunteering, that would be a good thing. Other than that, when I hear what the hospital has to say, I know we've given them the award there, but they are working so hard. They talked about some of the people really tired, but they're still at it. So we're very lucky to have them here, and I appreciate that a lot. That's about all I have to say about the meeting on Wednesday. Other than that, I just hope you all have a good holiday. And there's a lot of snow for you to get. We could actually have a ½ inch sometime. What were the snows where you lived?
I believe it was October 7th. And then the following weekend.
So 17 inches with drifts, you'd have huge amounts of snow laying around. Yeah, so this will be a breeze for you. I appreciate that. You still, you still might find Ray Whitaker somewhere laying in the snow. He'll be there somewhere. You'll recognize him. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming, and I hope you have a nice holiday. I have a motion. We have to
Approve the claim docket?
approve the claim docket.
Make a motion to approve the claim docket.
Do I have a second? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Claim docket's approved, 5-0.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Everybody approve?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.